Gildan Media, a division of Recorded Books, presents Train Your Brain for Success. Read smarter, remember more, and break your own records by Roger Seip. Narrated by Roger Seip.
Hey, this is Roger Seip in the studio, and I'm really excited for you to be able to take advantage of the audio version of Train Your Brain for Success. This version of Train Your Brain for Success was actually created in response to the overwhelming number one question that I got about the hardcover book, which is, could you put this in an audio format? We've been getting that question literally ever since the book came out, and so here you go. I wanted you to get this brief introduction so that you know how to use this version of Train Your Brain for Success in a little bit different way than you might use the book. So the book is very much constructed as a manual for your success. And I know a lot of people love to make sure that they're doing it in order, which I really think is probably the ideal way to use the hardcover version of Train Your Brain for Success. You start with the introduction, learn how to improve your memory, learn how to improve your reading skills, and then you work through goals, time management, the basics of you, and then how to manage your energy. It follows a good, logical, sequential format. This is a little bit different. We put it in a digital audio forum specifically so that you can A, listen to it in your car or while doing other things, and B, you can quickly access things that you need to hear now. So, for example, if you're listening to this and you're going, yeah, my number one thing I want to do right now is I want to improve my memory. Awesome. Go directly to chapters 1 through 3. That's what that's for. If you're going, I'm really interested in boosting my reading speed and see how good I do as a reader. Fantastic. Jump immediately to chapters 4 through 6 in this audio. You can use the book too, but do it in the audio for sure. And you know what? If you're going, you know what? I need something to do on a daily basis to have more energy in my life. Awesome. Feel free to jump all the way to chapter 17 right away and learn about the Power Hour. If you're sitting there going, man, my week is just kicking my butt and I need to take some charge of how I'm managing my time, feel free to jump directly to chapters 10, 11, and 12. My point is, find what you need here and go there whenever you like. I'd encourage you, use this as a resource for several months, several years to come, potentially. For me, that's where I found I've gotten the most benefit out of this. So without further ado, let's transition into Train Your Brain for Success. Introduction: How to Break Records. So the very first motivational speaker I heard as an adult was a gentleman named Mort Utley. I experienced his speech in May of 1989 in Nashville, Tennessee, at the end of a week of sales school with the Southwestern Company. I was 19 years old, and Mr. Utley made one of the most unmotivational statements I'd ever heard. He said that most people do not get what they want out of life. How depressing, I thought. This guy gets paid large amounts of money to motivate people, and he comes on stage and says that most people do not get what they want out of life. My 19-year-old brain went, well, thanks for the tip, Mort. I suppose next you'll tell me that people from France all speak French. No kidding, most people don't get what they want out of life. Why do you think I'm listening to you in the first place? See, I didn't want to be most people. And my guess is that you don't either. Listen, if you want to be most people, broke, unhealthy, and with too little time to actually enjoy your life, you wouldn't be reading this book. However, you have to be aware that your brain, your mind, has a lot of unconscious patterns that hold you back, and here's one of them. A big part of you just wants to be average. Starting in elementary school, through a combination of education and just our brain's natural urge towards safety, we all develop a strong unconscious desire to be like everyone else around us. We want to fit in. We want to be average. So in America now, here's what average really means. Physically, 68% of Americans 20 and over are overweight. 34% are clinically obese. This average gets worse every year. Relationships. Over half of American marriages end in divorce, a statistic that's held true for more than a quarter century. Professionally, somewhere between 75 and 85% of Americans actively dislike their jobs. And financially, the average income in America hovers around $40,000, less than in the 1940s when adjusted for inflation. The average American saves less than $2,000 per year. Do the math. It means they can retire around age 96. I mean, look around, and you'll see that at least half of American households regularly struggle with too much month at the end of the money. And I could go on and on. So why do I start this way? Well, mainly because if you are serious in your quest to lead the kind of life that you really want, the first realization that needs to happen is that even now, in the most technologically advanced and prosperous society the world has ever seen, average sucks. But as I said earlier, you don't want to be average. Congratulations. I mean, the fact that you're even reading this page indicates that average is not for you. You want to break records. In Train Your Brain for Success, you're going to learn some fundamental principles that have been proven over literally thousands of years to help individuals and organizations see consistent upward growth in every area, professionally, financially, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and in all types of relationships. The great thing about success is that it's simple. Not easy, but simple. You learn the fundamentals and apply them diligently, and you definitely will achieve the things that you want. So, before we go any further, I'd like you to do a short exercise. Consider whatever you believe to be your most important goal right now and write it down. Seriously, don't go any further until you've done this exercise. Whatever you consider to be your most important goal, please write it down. By the way, if you're listening to this in the car, pull over for just a moment and write it down. Now, look at what you wrote down and envision that it's already happened. Imagine that you've made that money, that you've gotten that promotion, that you've lost those 20 pounds, or that you have that relationship that you've been looking for. How does it feel? Good, right? Well, I would suggest that what you currently have in front of you is a decent start. This book will show you how to take that thought seed that you have in front of you and transform it into something that doesn't just feel nice for a little while, but will actually cause you to accomplish that result efficiently, joyfully, and with excitement. So we'll start with 3 mental factors for success. Understanding these concepts and applying them to any degree will automatically start you moving in the direction of your goals. The more you understand these, the faster and easier your goal achievement will become. Mental factor number 1, success leaves clues. This means that the achievement of your goals is not a function of magic, luck, or circumstance. It's a function of how you think and what you do. Look at the goal you wrote down earlier. Is there anybody, anywhere, who has accomplished that same thing that you are looking to accomplish, or better? I'm hard-pressed to find anyone who can answer no to that question. Whatever you want to do, somebody has done it, and that's very good news for you. If anyone else has accomplished what you're looking to accomplish, you can be totally confident that they didn't do it because they're somehow better or luckier than you. They did it because they thought a certain way and they took certain actions. If you'll develop the same thought patterns and the same action habits, it's virtually assured that you will end up in the same spot. Success leaves clues. So no matter where you're starting from, you have the ability to get where you want to go. It also means that one of the fastest ways to get where you want to go is to simply find somebody who's gotten there and copy what he or she did. An excellent example of this concept is an interview I heard of with a very successful professional bass fisherman. Now, this fisherman was known for winning fishing tournaments no matter how tough the bite was. He just caught fish all the time, even when nobody else did. So a reporter asked him, how do you do it? How are you so successful at catching bass? And the pro's answer was instructive that success leaves clues. Fisherman says, well, most folks think that bass fishing is all about luck. They think that if you happen to be at the right place at the right time with the right bait, you'll catch fish. And if not, well, you just won't. See, what I've learned is that bass fishing is much more predictable and scientific than that. On a given body of water, the time of year and the weather will pretty much tell you where the fish will be. Their location then determines which presentations might work, so I just find the fish and experiment with a handful of lures and presentation until I find the one that works. It's simple. Some days are tougher than others for sure, but a systematic approach always works best. The interviewer says, well, that just sounds too easy, like anyone could do it. Fisherman says, yeah, that's probably true. The interviewer says, well, then why doesn't everyone catch fish as consistently as you do? Fisherman says, listen to the first thing that I said. Most folks think that bass fishing is all about luck. They simply don't realize that they have so much influence, so they never put in the time it takes to learn the patterns that work. They just don't know. Well, the same is true about life. Yes, there are circumstances to deal with, and many are tough. But your success is not a function of those circumstances. It's a function of what you do with them. True, most people are not successful. Most people don't have the money, the relationships, the health, or the life they really desire because most of them think that they're just unlucky. You find successful people, people who are, who do, and who have what you want and then do what they do. Success leaves clues means that success is something that can and should be modeled from others. Mental factor number 2. What you see is what you get. Most of the time when someone says what you see is what you get, they're saying that nothing is hidden, that you can take a situation or a person at face value. This is a little different. Here, we mean that the pictures you see in your mind tend to be the results you get in your life. What you see is what you get. If you watch top-level athletes right before they perform, what are they doing? That's right, they're visualizing the outcome they want. They're seeing the ball go in the hole. They're seeing the perfect gymnastics routine. Whatever their sport, they're seeing a perfect result in their mind's eye. Athletes do this because they know that it works. Athletes understand that the more clearly they can picture their desired result, the more likely they are to deliver the performance that produces that result. And again, the same is true in your life. The more clearly you can picture the results that you want, the more likely you are to deliver the performance that produces those results. What you see is what you get. Mental factor number 3. What you see is what you look for. The pictures that will live in your mind most consistently will probably be the pictures that you condition your mind to see. Now, there's a very powerful part of your brain that can either work for you or against you, and it's called the reticular activating system, also known as the RAS. And what it does is it acts as a filter on your brain. It'll cause you to notice what you teach it to notice and filter away almost everything else. You've experienced this part of your brain at work if you've ever made the decision to buy a particular kind of car. Think back to any time you made the decision to buy a new car. As soon as you decided what you wanted, where did you start seeing that vehicle? That's right, everywhere. And that's not because they all of a sudden showed up in your environment. It's because you finally flipped the switch to notice them. And as soon as you flipped that switch, you couldn't not notice them. The good news is you can use this reticular activating system for achieving your goals much more quickly than you have in the past. By the way, you'll see several references to the reticular activating system throughout Train Your Brain for Success. It's very useful when it's used properly. It's a critical concept. Your brain is always working. Your brain is either working for you or against you, but it's always working. And it's vital to understand that your brain's default setting for how it works is not very helpful. When it comes to your brain's natural tendencies, there's bad news, there's good news, and really good news. The bad news: your comfort zone limits you. One of your brain's strongest tendencies is called the homeostatic impulse, which is the desire to stay where you are. More on this later, but your brain is highly evolved for survival. It is exceptionally good at keeping you alive. You may not like where you are right now, but the fact is that where you are right now has not killed you yet. And as a result, your brain has deemed it safe, and it'll do all kinds of weird things to keep you there. Have you ever known somebody who lost the same 20 pounds 4 or 5 times? You ever known somebody who paid off all their credit cards only to rack them back up again? Someone who had the same relationship with the same kind of person over and over again? All of these are examples of this homeostatic impulse, which is popularly known as your comfort zone. This is bad news because, hear this, no growth happens in your comfort zone. The only place that you can grow is outside your comfort zone. Your comfort zone must be addressed if you want to see lasting change, because its pull is incredibly strong. The good news: you can change your comfort zone. So now that I've convinced you that you could be stuck forever right where you are, which, by the way, you could, you must understand that this is not your destiny. You absolutely have the capacity to move your comfort zone to any place that you'd prefer. Here's why. Whether you realize it or not, your comfort zone is something that you've chosen. You've chosen it unconsciously, but you have chosen it. This is encouraging because you have control over your choices. So you can consciously unchoose your current comfort zone and then choose differently. And the best part is that once you've elevated your comfort zone, your life stays elevated. You can permanently reset your internal thermostat to a higher level. It will require commitment, education, and a little help from outside of yourself, but you absolutely can do it. The really good news: small changes make a huge difference. You don't need to be 100% better to see 100% improvement. You just need to be a little better. There's a concept in play here called the winning edge, and it means that a small change in the right place makes a huge difference in your end result. For example, in golf, a 1 millimeter difference in the angle of a club head means literally the difference between middle of the fairway and you can't find your ball. In a horse race, the winning horse often wins what? By a nose. But that split second is usually a 4-fold increase in prize money. In sales, the tiniest perceived difference between competitors can mean the difference between receiving all of the business or none of the business. So take heart. Small improvements in the right area of your life will give you a huge improvement in your end result. Here's some specific examples I've seen with my clients. An executive makes a small change in how he schedules his week and sees a $125,000 boost to his company's bottom line. A banking professional alters one thing about how she starts her day and triples her income in 6 months. A salesperson simply pays attention to his forehead and his results skyrocket. A teacher applies the simplest possible concept for reading smart, and his student goes from understanding almost none of what he reads to understanding almost all of it. And I could go on and on about this concept. Ultimately, you get to choose how you use your brain. This book, Train Your Brain for Success, gives you the specific tools and skills to turn on your brain in a way that propels you forward. So how to use this book. Train Your Brain for Success is not just created as a recreational passive read. It's been set up to be, number one, an ongoing resource for your development. Number two, a gateway into an entire system of accelerated learning and record-breaking results in your life. In the first section, called Your Learning Foundations, we'll tune up the most fundamental learning skills that you possess: your instant recall memory and your smart reading capacity. You'll be able to learn in a way that stimulates more of your brain and enables you to absorb any information more quickly and more permanently. Both of these sections are memory optimized with interactive video exercises that you'll find listed at the end of each chapter under reinforcement and bonuses. So read these sections first, and more importantly, do the memory optimization exercises that support the chapters. Will it take a little more time? Yes, on the front end. The result will be that you'll absorb the rest of the book much more efficiently, and you'll remember it better. The best training in the world does you zero good if you don't apply it, and you can't apply it if you can't remember it. So get involved with your own learning. The rest of Train Your Brain for Success will focus on the 4 components of record-breaking performance. Anytime an individual or an organization takes their results to a higher level, there's 4 things you can observe and then model. Number 1, having energizing goals. Number 2, being fully present and using time as it's meant to be used. Number 3, being brilliant with basics. And number 4, practicing aggressive mental care. So chapters 7 through 18 are devoted to elevating your skills with these 4 components. In these chapters, you'll develop specific plans for thinking and acting that are proven to get results quickly and in a way that lasts in any important area of your life. Once again, these chapters are memory optimized with exercises and tools that can be found under reinforcement and bonuses. So read each chapter, take some notes, and then memory optimize before going on to the next chapter. Take an active approach to this book. Read it with a pen in your hand and a place to write your own thoughts. You unquestionably can be, do, and have anything that you want, but you can't do it with the thinking that you've currently got. If you want a higher level of results, you must grow into a higher level of thinking. So many personal development books promise the key or the secret and then just tell you, you can do it. And that's fine, but we're going a step beyond. We're going to teach you how to get from point A to point B quickly, efficiently, and how to have a ball on the way. Section 1, your learning foundations. Learning foundation, number 1, your instant recall memory. Chapter 1, discovering your memory power. As we discussed in the introduction, the first 6 chapters of Train Your Brain for Success are dedicated to the very foundations of your ability to learn, your ability to absorb and then recall the information that you need for your growth. In this section, you're going to learn how to learn in the way that actually uses your brain in the way that it prefers to be used. Let's start with one of the most popular subjects that my company teaches, the subject of how to improve your memory. Think for a moment about how many different ways you use your memory on a daily basis. If you're having trouble coming up with an answer, try this question on for size. If you lost your memory completely, what would you be able to do? The correct answer is nothing. When we're born, we come into the world with a working autonomic nervous system, so our breathing, heartbeat, and other bodily functions work properly. And we have automatic reflexes, like when the doctor hits your kneecap with that little rubber hammer to see if your muscles contract. And that's it. Everything else in your life is learned. Even things as basic as what your own name is and how to eat are learned behaviors. So literally everything in your entire life requires the use of your memory. Now extend that out to your life today. At Freedom Personal Development, we will often ask our workshop audiences the question, where in your life do you feel an improved memory would help you to be more effective, more productive, or reduce stress? It's just a few of the common answers we hear from professionals. They say, I wish I were better at remembering people's names. They say, I wish I could deliver better presentations without looking at notes. They say, I wish I could learn product knowledge quicker. Or I wish I could remember dates and times for appointments. From students, we hear, I wish I could remember foreign language vocabulary. I wish I could remember math formulas and equations. I wish I could remember things like the preamble to the Constitution and all the presidents and states and capitals. I wish I felt less freaked out when I'm taking tests. Honestly, I could go on for an entire chapter about all the ways that we get to use our memories as tools for getting through life. So here's the best news about it. No matter where you would like to see improvement in your memory or any area of learning, you absolutely have the ability to make those improvements. A significant body of research now confirms that for all practical purposes, your memory is actually perfect. You literally never forget anything. Now, some of you right now might be saying to yourself, okay, Roger, you just lost me. I feel like I forget stuff all the time. Why do you think I bought this book in the first place? And I understand that perception. I get where it feels that way. Fact is, though, that essentially everything, every book you've read, every conversation you've had, every person you've met, everything is recorded by your brain. Your challenge is not actually your memory, but your recall. Example, think back to the last time you bumped into someone you knew, and you knew that you knew, but you couldn't come up with their name. Common situation that happens to everyone. Now see that instance in your mind. You probably had a reasonably good conversation with that person, right? 5 or 10 minutes of, hey, how's it going? How's work? How's the family? And so on. But the whole time you're talking to them, what was your brain doing? Racking itself with one question. What the heck is this guy's name? And it didn't come to you while he was there, but it did come to you later, right? See, you didn't forget that guy's name. You just couldn't recall it when you needed it. And again, I could give you tons more examples. Suffice it to say that your memory is, in fact, excellent. It's actually your recall that may be suspect. The reason this is good news is that improving your recall is very much under your control. If you can't recall a piece of information, it's always because the way that you stored it in the first place was accidental or mindless or haphazard or unconscious. And here's what I mean. How you originally learned to learn. If you're like 99% of the population back in school, you learned to learn through a process called rote memorization. Rote memorization is simply learning through repetition. You got some information from a teacher or a textbook and then went over it and over it and over it until hopefully it stuck in your brain. Does that sound familiar? Well, how's that working for you now? Not too well, I'd bet. Just to prove the point, take this short 2-question quiz. Question 1, did you ever take a biology class? Yes or no? Question 2. Without looking it up, please name all the phyla of the animal.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?